Pandora's Actor. Pandora's Actor is the area guardian of Nazarick's treasury, and also the financial manager of the tomb. He's the one responsible for Nazarick's upkeep and for supporting Ainz Ooal Gown. The thing is, Pandora's Actor was created directly by Ainz himself, which makes him Ainz's living, breathing black history. Now, even though his base stats are lower than most other level 100 NPCs, Pandora's Actor is still one of the strongest servants in Nazarick. According to Albedo, his abilities are on par with those of both Demiurgus and her. On top of managing the treasury, he also handles the currency needed to activate Nazarick's defense network, which basically makes him the treasurer. His talents lie in disguise. Pandora's Actor can transform into 45 different forms, and imitate not just appearances but their abilities too. The catch is, he can only use about 80% of the original strength. Still, Pandora's Actor possessed very flexible abilities, to the point where he could replace all the other Guardians if needed. However, Ainz didn't actually make him for combat or administrative duties. His real purpose was to preserve the forms of Ainz Ooal Gown and keep the memories of his guildmates alive. That's why he can copy the forms of the 41 guild members plus 4 more unknown forms. If it's just physical appearance, he can turn into anything as long as it's a living being. The only forms he can't take are the Floor Guardians. When he copies someone, Pandora's Actor takes penalties to all his stats. Even though his abilities work at 80%, he can never use Super Team magic. That's because some classes can't be copied at all. So even if he mimics Ainz or Albert, he won't be able to pull off their strongest magic. According to Maruyama-sensei, if Pandora's Actor shifts from one spellcaster to another, his entire spell list changes too. So, if he can use around 300 spells for each form, he can theoretically gain up to about 13,500 spells in total. Nigredo. Nigredo is an NPC of the Great Tomb of Nazarick and one of Tabula's Maragdina's creations. While Albedo represents Tabula's love for Gapmo, Nigredo is the incarnation of love for horror movies. As for Rubedo, we'll talk about her later in the video. But remember, even though she's her sister, Nigredo believes that girl might betray Nazarick one day. Nigredo was originally confined to the frozen prison on the 5th floor of Nazarick, serving as its area guardian. At Yuri Alpha's request, Nigredo was later released to help manage the orphanage in Irantul. Unlike many NPCs, Nigredo is kind towards humans. Together with Pestonya, she opposed killing innocent people kidnapped by the Riestai's kingdom. They are willing to defy Ainz's orders to protect civilians and children. Nigredo is a magic caster and one of the higher level NPCs in Nazarick. She was designed to specialize in divination and information gathering. Ainz once turned to her for assistance in locating Shalltear, during which she used her spell Crystal Monitor to display a distant forest and pinpoint Shalltear's location. Basically, Nigredo can monitor wide areas, even the entirety of Nazarick's forces, while also casting anti-surveillance magic to shield information. For combat, she wields scissors as her primary weapon, though her true strength lies in intelligence and reconnaissance. Kyouhukou. Kyouhukou is the area guardian of the Black Capsule on the 2nd floor of Nazarick. According to the author Maruyama, his chamber contains a trap that specifically targets characters with a female exterior, teleporting them straight into the Roach Pit. In terms of strength, Kyouhukou is not especially powerful in open spaces. Maruyama stated that he was weaker than the Pleiades battlemates. However, his ability to summon an endless swarm of cockroaches makes him a unique and terrifying opponent. In fact, he was considered such a formidable enemy that players would sometimes log out of the game just to avoid facing him. Maruyama also says that Kyouhukou can summon an infinite number of gargantuan beings of the same race. Kyouhukou is described as a gentleman. Among the NPCs, his personality is among the splendidly nice ones. As an insect druid, his main power lies in summoning cockroaches, ranging from small insects to giant variants about 150 centimeters tall. These larger ones are about as tough as thin iron plates, but their HP is not particularly high. Naturally, ordinary people like villagers would have no way to deal with them. The true danger comes from the sheer numbers he can summon. Kyouhukou is capable of summoning anywhere from 10,000 to 100,000 cockroaches at once. In an enclosed space, this ability becomes devastating, overwhelming enemies with endless waves of swarming attacks. In the web novel, the supreme being Lucifer gave Kyouhukou a silver cockroach golem, which he uses as his mount. Aureole Omega. Aureole is the area guardian of the Cherry Blossom Sanctuary on the 8th floor of Nazarick. Aureole is the leader of the Pleiades Seven Sisters, a group of battle-made NPCs who act as Nazarick's final defense on the 9th floor. She's a level 100 NPC specialized in commander-type classes, which means she can give orders that buff her allies. Basically, she's an all-rounder. Aureole also controls the teleportation gates in Nazarick and protects the staff of Ainz Ooal Gown in the Cherry Blossom Sanctuary. Her active ability is Gate, the highest tier of teleportation magic. It creates a portal that can transport large groups over great distances. If intruders try to use them, she can send them to an isolation area of her choice. She commands servants like Ukonomitamas and Utoshius, who protect her domain. With her servants as shields, Aureole ought to have enough time to flee to the 9th floor if something happens. Aureole is currently on the 8th floor, and most could not go there directly. Even the ring of Ainz Ooal Gown would not be able to travel to the Cherry Blossom Sanctuary. Instead, it would teleport one some distance away from it. Among the Pleiades sisters, Aureole is the only human. However, she's also immortal. Even though most of her sisters don't like humans, they still care for her like a real sister. But we'll come back to the rest of the Pleiades sisters later. Yuri describes Aureole as high-spirited and once pictured her with her arms crossed and a cute smile. Her voice is calm and gentle, and Yuri even calls her Aochan. Interestingly, Aureole was also the original owner of the world item on the 8th floor, which was later given to Shalltear. Pestonya Shortcake Wanko. Pestonya is an NPC created by Ankoro Mochi Mochi. She serves as an area guardian and is also Nazarick's head maid. Pestonya is a high priest capable of using extremely powerful healing magic. She's considered a high-level cleric, and her mage uniform itself functions as a high-class item that grants her defensive stats. Her fur also gives her natural cold resistance. When using resurrection magic, Pestonya requires payment in gold coins, jewels, or other valuables equal to the cost of the spell. While her level is lower than most floor guardians, she can still cast the highest-ranking holy magic with ease. In the web novel, Pestonya is the best healer available in Nazarick. She's even able to transfer her mana reserves to Shalltear, which once allowed her to prolong the use of the Gate spell. Pestonya can also summon angels like the Archangel Flame. Personality-wise, Pestonya is one of the few NPCs in Nazarick who doesn't hate humans. She believes people outside Ainz Ooal Gown shouldn't be sent to the graveyard right away. Interestingly, when Sebastian wanted to heal Tsuaret, Solution suggested asking Pestonya instead, but in the end Solution still used the healing scroll herself. Neuronist Painkill. On top of being the area guardian of the underground portion of the frozen prison, Neuronist is also the special intelligence officer in charge of, well, messing with the prisoners. While Kyouhukou is Nazarick's worst resident, Neuronist holds the title of worst occupation among the 5 worst NPCs. The others include worst appearance, worst personality, worst hero, but more on them later. Belonging to the Brain Eater race, Neuronist is responsible for extracting information through violent means. She particularly enjoys playing with the brains of her victims, which is her favorite thing to do. Even with her role, Neuronist isn't very strong by Nazarick standards. During an interrogation of slain Theocracy's Antolin, she needed Mare's help to get it done. Fun fact, Neuronist once insulted Shalltear by calling her a brat and mocked Albedo as an ugly freak, even going as far as to claim she was more attractive than both and more deserving of Ainz's affection. Shinoutu Tokitu, better known as the head chef, is an area guardian who normally works in Nazarick's canteen. Created by Amanome Hitotsu, Tokitu serves as the canteen's head chef and is one of only 3 NPCs in Nazarick with the cook job class. During the demonic disturbance when Pestonya and Nigredo defied Ainz's orders to spare the abducted children, Tokitu and the sous chef secretly supported them by preparing baby food. As the head chef, Tokitu is fanatically devoted to his profession and often makes dramatic declarations about his cooking. When Ainz once visited him, Tokitu became overly enthusiastic about preparing meals, despite knowing that Ainz could not eat. He even claimed that no ingredients would ever be wasted if used for Ainz. Ainz struggled to make Tokitu understand that he wanted a simple conversation rather than a grand reception back then. Gashouko Chuuou. Gashouko Chuuou is the area guardian of the large hole in Nazarick. As a member of the 5 Worst, he holds the title of Worst Appearance. During Ainz's fight with Foresight, he instructed Aura to take Hecaran and Imina to the large hole. At that point, Gashouko Chuuou said that he was running out of quote-unquote nests. According to the author Maruyama, both Hecaran and Imina were seen gaining weight after this event. This hints that Gashouko Chuuou or members of his parasite race might have infested them. Guren. Guren is the area guardian of the River of Lava on the 7th floor. Its strength made it one of Nazarick's top fighters and the best guardian of the 7th floor, able to step in for Demiurgus when he's not around. Guren is an abyssal slime of enormous size. Its gender is unknown, with some, like Pulcinella, even believing it to be genderless. Normally it hides its massive body within the flowing lava, dragging intruders into the molten battlefield where it has the advantage. Though only level 90, Guren was optimized for combat and could fight on par with some floor guardians. If it spotted an enemy, Guren's tentacles would drag them into the quicksand-like lava, where they'd be attacked by an almost invisible opponent. Because Guren does not need to breathe, it can remain hidden in magma and strike with its tentacles. Defeating it through normal methods is nearly impossible. Grant. As an area guardian, Grant protects zones scattered across multiple floors, including the 3rd and 6th floors. Unlike many NPCs, Grant has a very high level, likely around 90 or above. Grant's children were the ones who consumed Arsh's corpse. Her head was given to a silk hat demon, the arms to the dead man's struggles, Demiurgus took the skin, and the rest was fed to Grant's children. Interestingly, Cocytus is mentioned being on good terms with Demiurgus, Kyouhukou, Grant, and Gashouko Chuuou. Sebastian. Sebas is the head butler of Nazarick and the leader of the Pleiades 6 stars. As an NPC created by Touch Me, Sebas's strength is on the level of the Floor Guardians. He's an unarmed combat specialist and one of Nazarick's 4 strongest fighters. Basically, his power is comparable to Cocytus, Albedo, and Rubedo. In his dragonoid form, Sebas can overpower even Cocytus and Albedo. Ainz says he can sweep away anyone in direct combat. Among the top warriors, Cocytus beats Albedo, Albedo beats Sebas, and Sebas beats Cocytus. Sebas can use Ki to heal, knock someone unconscious, or force them to obey. His Fear Aura can kill almost any human in the New World. Like his creator, Touch Me, Sebas has a strong sense of justice. He believes those who do not save the weak cannot call themselves strong, and he does not see all humans as weak or worthless. Although he has no problem killing anyone who threatens Nazarick, Sebas doesn't hate humans as much and will even help them himself or encourage Ainz to lend a hand. According to author Maruyama, this is because Touch Me never wrote personality settings for Sebas, so he became the NPC most shaped by his creator's ideals. Considering that he and Demiurgus' creator do not get along, Sebas himself often clashes with Demiurgus' opinions. Lupusregina Beta. Lupusregina is one of the Pleiades 6 stars and was the creation of the supreme being Beast King Mekangawa. As a lycanthrope, she can transform into a werewolf. She's resistant to most metals, but silver is her weakness, as it actually boosts the damage she takes from it. Lupusregina is also a battle cleric. In fact, she's got the highest overall stats among the Pleiades, with the best physical defense and resistances too. Lupusregina can heal big groups with All Greater Heal, patch up wounds with Heal and Medium Cure Wound, cure poison, and even fly. Her Animal Instinct skill lets her sense what her target is thinking, and her complete invisibility spell makes her totally undetectable unless you've got special magic to see her. She's also shown she can find magically hidden enemies. In Carne Village, she even used a spell to cool down fire from the sky to kill a troll. Her main weapon is a black and silver crozier. Her job was to defend Carne Village and maintain its security. More precisely, her main task was to observe and remain alert while preventing the leakage of technologies developed within the village. CZ2128 Delta, also known as CZ or Shizu, is an automaton created by Garnet. Shizu specializes in firearms and long-range attacks. Garnet built her with the deep knowledge of Nazarick's security mechanisms, especially in the treasury. Since Garnet co-designed those systems with Tabula Smaragdina, he wrote her backstory so she could bypass locks and defenses if needed. Unlike most Pleiades maids, Shizu actually has a high karma. That makes her, alongside Yuri Alpha, one of the 2 Pleiades who are considered relatively safe for humans to be around. For all her mechanical composure and automaton battle skills, Shizu is weak to cute things, whether it's a Claire or some small creature. If she thinks it's adorable, she'll hug it and refuse to let go. In fact, Garnet once gave her a 1 yen sticker, and she still keeps it on her. One time, Eclair kept avoiding her, so she went to the 6th floor to hug Aura's magical beast instead. She got scolded afterwards. Solution Epsilon. As a member of the Pleiades 6 stars, Solution is a predator slime battle maid created by Hero. As a slime, Solution was adept at dealing with physical attacks. She possessed an especially strong resistance to piercing or slashing attacks. However, bludgeoning attacks could hurt her. Her body's basically hollow, so she can store things inside, protect them, or dissolve them at will. She can even control how fast her digestion works. For someone with no fixed form like Solution, escaping should have been easy as pie. Incidentally, Solution's eyeballs were also fake, so meeting her gaze was meaningless. After all, she did not use vision to perceive others. On top of that, she can turn parts of her body into whip-like slime arms that reach up to 2 meters, moving so fast they can slice enemies before they even realize it. She can also turn her fingers into syringe-like tubes to inject her own custom poisons, one that puts targets to sleep and another that relaxes their muscles. Plus, she can melt into shadows for stealth attacks. As a rogue-class assassin and poison maker, she's great at detecting traps, tracking targets, scouting, and even using scrolls despite class restrictions. Narberal Gamma, also known as Nabe, is an NPC created by Nishikienrai. Nabe's human form is gained through her doppelganger's transformation skill. However, because of her low racial level, she can only transform into one form. Her original appearance as a doppelganger is similar to Pandora's actor. As a doppelganger battle maid of the Pleiades 6 stars, Narberal is an arcane magic caster who specializes in air elemental magic. That makes all her air spells much stronger, but it also means her other magic is a bit weaker, though still far from weak by human standards. Outside of her bunny magic, almost all her spells are built for combat. Passively, she has dark vision. She can also use active skills like Dragon Lightning and Chain Dragon Lightning to hit multiple enemies, Dimensional Move to escape, Electrosphere for huge lightning attacks, Fly for moving around, Invisibility for sneaking, Teleportation, and more. Most people in the New World know her better as Nabe. As an Adamantite-ranked adventurer, she's already one of the strongest in the New World. According to Fluda, she's so powerful that she could already use 8th tier magic at maximum. Nabe has the Koraunos Mk3 weapon, a ring of sustenance that boosts her vitality, the Pleiades maid armor, and more. As Nabe, Narberal basically acts as Ainz's personal security. When she's outside, she has to make sure no one is rude to Ainz, decide if she should immediately deal with anyone who is, and stay focused to watch for any enemies. Entoma Vasilissa Zeta. Entoma is an NPC arachnid battle maid of the Pleiades 6 stars. Created by the supreme being Genjiro, Entoma is a spirit-based magic caster who fights using insects and talismans. She can mix close-range attacks, ranged bug summons, magical strikes, and talisman-based buffs. The drawback is that summoning her strongest bugs takes time. Her insect weapons can act on their own, but if an enemy resists a spell, the insect itself has to resist it too, not Entoma. That's a weakness enemies can take advantage of. She's also a support unit who can boost magic effects and aid her sisters in battle. Even so, her stats are well-rounded enough to hold her own in direct combat. She's got a whole set of bugs like bullet bugs, blade bugs, hard armor bugs, thousand lash bugs, and even lip bugs that steal others' voices. Interestingly, her original lip bug died in her fight with Evil Eye, so she replaced it with one that ate Archie's voice. Entoma uses mask bugs to hide her real face. It displayed no emotion, so there was no way to tell what she was thinking. When communicating with her sisters, Entoma had to use her body language to express what she meant, for instance by shrugging or tilting her head. As an arachnoid, Entoma can shoot webs, slash with webs sharp enough to cut through magic barriers, and use Breath of Fly, a swarm of flesh-eating flies that lay eggs in victims, which hatch quickly and consume them before moving on to the next target. She can only use these 3 times a day. Her compound eyes give her a wide field of vision and her antennae can sense air movement. Yuri Alpha. Yuri is the vice captain of the Pleiades 6 stars and was created by the supreme being Yamaiko. Among the maids, she's known as the Big Sister. Even though they call each other sisters, they aren't real siblings, they're just programmed to act that way. As a Doulahan, Yuri wears black lensless glasses and a blue collar around her neck, probably to keep her head attached. Her karma value shows she's good-hearted and one of only 2 Pleiades who'd rather help humans in need. Since the Supreme Beings made Yuri the eldest of the sisters, she had to play the role of the eldest sister fully. This came from her loyalty to and desire to repay her creator Yamaiko. But because she shares some traits with Yamaiko, she can be a bit of a muscle brain sometimes. Yuri acts really strictly, kind of like a teacher. Like most NPCs, she's a total workaholic and gets fidgety if there's free time with nothing to do. But since she's undead, she could also be cold and calculating. Yamaiko's influence lets her have short emotional bursts, but she quickly suppresses them. Compared to Entoma, who's the same level, Yuri focuses more on hitting and doing straight-up physical damage. In her fight with Evil Eye, she used Fa Jin, a Chinese martial arts technique to break through Evil Eye's crystal wall. She can also use Qi Gong to heal herself or her allies. Yuri can boost her physical power with armament enhancement, sends enemies with presence search, and hit hard with moves like Kabakusho and Impact Blow. She's also resistant to things like immobilization, blindness, silence, dazzling, and life-draining effects. But there's still more to uncover. If you want to see all the Pleiades battle maids explained in detail, check out this video where we go through every one of them in just a few minutes. Library Overlords. The Library Overlords were created to guard Nazarick's Great Library, Ashur Banipal. All 5 served under the command of the Chief Librarian, Titus Aeneas Secundus. Titus is a skeleton mage and the head librarian. Although he's designed for production ability, his total level was still higher than that of Elder Lich. Titus is a 150 centimeter tall skeleton that looks like a fusion of human and animal bones. He has several scrolls hanging from his belt like weapons. Although Titus is only a basic undead, 1 step below an Elder Lich, he carries a lot of magical equipment. In the Volume 8 side story, Titus lent his overlords Aelius, Aurelius, Cochius, Fulvius, and Ulpius to Mare. They acted as escorts while Mare searched for Cocytus at the Lizardman village. Since Mare specifically asked for vassals above level 75, it's clear these overlords were fairly strong undead. Titus himself admitted that their combat ability was excessive for simple library duties, saying it was better for them to serve as Mare's guards than spend their days dusting shelves. In exchange, Titus asked Mare to cast a 4th tier spell into one of his scrolls. However, the experiment failed, and the scroll could not be imbued with spells of that tier. Titus is capable of translating the New World's language and is in possession of Renrakucho, a Yggdrasil message board. As it is an item of the Supreme Beings, Titus and the Librarians regard it as a sacred item. Aside from the Overlords, Titus also commands Elder Liches who work as Librarians. Evil Lord Envy. Evil Lord Envy is one of the evil lords of the Great Tomb of Nazarick, working directly under Demiurgus on the 7th floor. She's one of Demiurgus' personal bodyguards and a high-level vassal. Envy looks like a feminine monster wearing a tight bondage-style outfit, but with the head of a crow. When it comes to strength, Envy is around level 80 and was originally spawned in Demiurgus' underground volcano domain, positioned near the gate that leads to the 8th floor. Basically, her responsibility was guarding that path. At one point, she joined forces with the other evil lords in Demiurgus' Operation Gehenna. That's when they followed his orders to summon an entire army of demons right inside the Riesti's kingdom's capital. Evil Lord Greed. Greed is one of the evil lords of the Great Tomb of Nazarick. Like the other evil lords, he's a demon around level 80. His main weapon is a war scythe. At one point, Greed and the other evil lords were patrolling the 7th floor when they ran into a Death Knight. This Death Knight was actually moving under Ainz's direct orders to meet Demiurgus. The evil lord showed curiosity at the sight of this unknown undead. But instead of giving in to their natural demonic urge to torment others, they quickly recognized the Death Knight as an ally. They even went as far as asking which floor guardian the Death Knight served, treating him with the utmost courtesy. And when they heard his answer, their reaction was dramatic. Evil Lord Sloth. As another member of the Evil Lord, Sloth serves as one of Demiurgus' underlings. This Evil Lord has the ability to summon pack after pack of demons and undead, making them very hard to deal with. Evil Lord Wrath. Wrath is a huge demon with burning wings and 2 huge crimson fists. As a level 84 NPC, he's stronger than the other Evil Lords. Wrath is a physical attacker type, that means he has a very high HP and incredible durability. His skin is so tough that even Sepharlegia, the holy sword wielded by Remedios in the Holy Kingdom, couldn't cut through it. On top of that, Wrath can summon an army of demons and even bring out Evil Lords at a lower level. One troublesome point about the Evil Lord of Wrath was that it was very hard to damage its hate. Wrath builds aggro faster than any other Evil Lord, which makes him tough to manage in battle. Tanks have said, the hardest part about fighting multiple Evil Lords at once is keeping Wrath from going off target. The more hate he builds, the more damage and defense he gets. The real danger is his ability called Soul-Bought Miracle. Its effects are completely unknown, even Ainz was cautious about it. Aside from that, Wrath can use 10th tier spells like Meteor Fall, Time Stop, and Field of Unclean. He's got 9th tier spells like Greater Rejection and Vermilion Nova. 8th tier ones like Distort Morale, Insanity, Astral Smite, and Wave of Pain. And 7th tier spells like Napalm, Hellflame, Greater Word of Curse, Greater Teleportation, and Blasphemy. He can also cast 6th tier spells like Flamewing and Wall of Hell, and even basic 3rd tier ones like Fireball and Slow. Generally, high-level demons had very high elemental resistance. Wrath himself is immune to fire. However, Wrath is built as a warrior, not a mage. Basically, his stats for magic are low, and he has no skills to boost his spells. Even though his fire spells should be strong against undead, they don't really matter to Ainz. Mind-affecting spells also do nothing to undead, and Ainz's negative karma cancels out things like Distort Morale. So, his magic isn't much of a threat against him. While Demiurgus acted as Jaldabaoth himself at first, he eventually handed that role over to a summoned Evil Lord Wrath. This Jaldabaoth looked exactly the same as Wrath and had the same abilities. Eclair Kreia is the assistant butler of Nazarick created by Ankora Mochi Mochi. He belongs to the Birdman race, but unlike the typical form, he appears as a literal rockhopper penguin. As a joke, Ankora Mochi Mochi set his personality to have the ambition of conquering Nazarick. Because this trait was part of his original settings, the other NPCs simply ignore it. Even though Eclair often declares his intent to take the throne, he remains loyal to the Supreme Beings and respects them greatly. Eclair is left in charge of the 10th floor's upkeep when Sebas is on a mission. His combat ability is minimal, with a strength level of only 1, but he makes up for it with his skills as a cleaner. According to him, nobody cleans better than he does, boasting that even the toilets he scrubs are spotless enough to eat from. He's assisted by his masked manservants, a group of 10 butlers who, like the homunculus maids, handle various minor tasks throughout Nazarick, with a particular focus on cleaning and maintenance duties. Chakmool. Chakmool is one of the 5 worst of Nazarick. Created by the supreme being Temperance, Chakmool holds the title of Worst Personality, and he serves as a musical instructor within Nazarick. In the web novel, he is identified as a member of the Chognar race. These are beings known for their poor attitudes but blunt honesty. Chakmool is described by Yuri and Lupusregina as unfriendly. Chakmool commands several greater doppelgangers known as the Arid String Orchestra. Under Albedo's orders in Volume 13, this orchestra transformed into members of the Pleiades Maids. Worst Hero. According to Maruyama, the last member of the 5 worst has the appearance of a Roper-type monster. If the name Tentacle Cage comes up in the novel, we should be thinking of this character. Worst Hero is described as a gentleman. Among the 5 worst, he's more likable than the worst personality. He's a character who does nothing weird. It's said that his body fluid is said to be an aphrodisiac. Chief Blacksmith. Chief Blacksmith is an NPC created by Amonome Hitotsu. Since he is designed as his apprentice and assigned to handle blacksmith work in Nazarick, he is highly skilled as a craftsman. For instance, the Chief Blacksmith created a replica of Momon's armor, complete with scorching and battle damage. The detail was so convincing that even veteran magic casters and blacksmiths believed Ainz had gone through an intense fight. Aura also once mentioned that the Chief Blacksmith was working on a suit of armor for Hamsuke. Ainz considered this important, thinking that if he needed to ride Hamsuke onto the battlefield, enhancing its defense would be critical. Klavu, also known as Sous-Chef, is an NPC created by Blue Planet. He's a member of the Myconid race, which are basically humanoid mushroom people. Most of the time, Klavu works in Nazarick's canteen. On a certain day of the week, he switches things up and manages a bar on the 9th floor. He's the second in command of Nazarick's restaurant, which shows he's a skilled cook. Because of the fresh produce grown on the 6th floor, he can prepare high-quality dishes. Even though his role is mostly focused on drinks, his cooking provides magical effects. On top of that, Klavu has some talent in gardening. In the Volume 8 side story, he was seen growing tomatoes. But since he doesn't have skills to grow vegetables that can produce special effects, these tomatoes don't explode from sunlight, don't attack people, and don't glow when sliced. They're just ordinary tomatoes. Patissier. The patissier is an NPC usually found working in the canteen on the 9th floor. While the patissier can whip up all sorts of pastries, desserts, and baked treats, Albedo notes their cooking isn't quite on the same level as the sous chefs. In other words, the dishes taste great, but don't expect any magical effects from eating them. That said, the patissier's work can still be jaw-dropping. In a side story from Volume 10, they prepared triple-layered silver cake racks stacked with desserts that looked like something straight out of a dream. We're talking tender strawberries, sponge cakes that were soft and moist, and strawberry cakes made with butter that was so pure that they were basically oil-free. There were also fruit tarts bursting with citrus fragrance, and even rare jellies crafted from fruits you'd only ever find in Yggdrasil. Pulcinella. Pulcinella is a clown NPC. Known as a plague doctor, he's skilled in both physical and psychological punishment. In fact, Demiurgus once had him assist with harvesting skins to create magic scrolls. Normally, Demiurgus would have done this himself to savor the task, but with the threat of a powerful enemy, he couldn't leave his post. Despite these dark talents, Pulcinella is actually considered kind-hearted and caring, at least from Demiurgus' perspective. He was created by the Supreme Beings to bring happiness, and everything he does, even the grimmest of jobs, is somehow tied to that purpose. Grimoire. Grimoire is a golem created by Lucifer. She takes the form of a gothic-styled kid, often seen holding a camel plush in one hand. You see, Lucifer had a habit of making prized golems and then hiding them around Nazarick for his own amusement. One of them was Grimoire, stationed in front of the throne room as part of the 72 golems in the Lemmigaten on the 10th floor. Komainu. Komainu is a golem created by Lucifer and hidden inside the Yamaiko shrine. Like a traditional guardian dog, it was placed in front of the coin box to stop anyone from stealing offerings. In Overlord, the undead King O, Ainz visited the Yamaiko shrine with Aura and Mare to perform a pilgrimage to the so-called Gacha god. The thing is, when Ainz noticed that Yggdrasil gold coins were still being dropped into the offering box and piling up over time, he couldn't resist taking a peek at the contents. Komainu suddenly came to life, roaring at him for trying to steal donations. Aura and Mare had no idea that it was one of the Supreme Being's creations, so they quickly beat it down before Ainz could explain. Lion Golem. The Lion Golem is another one of Lucifer's creations, stationed inside the spa resort Nazarick. In Volume 8 side story, Ainz and the male floor guardians were relaxing in the baths when the female guardians, led by Albedo, tried to sneak a peek at them. The Lion Golem immediately reacted to stop and restrain them. The Golem was placed on the female side of the resort. To the female members of Ainz Ooal Gown, the whole setup felt like a running joke. Interestingly, the Lion Golem managed to withstand a direct strike from a floor guardian. On top of that, it could even talk thanks to hidden speakers or some kind of special construction. Fit. Fit is one of the 41 homunculus maids who handle maid duties across the 9th and 10th floors. She was created by Whitebrim. Surprisingly, Fit is a little sentimental. When she sees a touching father and son moment between Ainz and Pandora's actor, she is moved to tears. But when it comes to humans, she's no different from most of Nazarick's NPCs. She sees outsiders as a lower species and pities them for not being creations of the Supreme Beings. At one point, she went with Ainz to Erantal, along with the cherubim gatekeepers that Ainz had assigned to protect them. Decrement. Decrement is one of the 41 homunculus maids of Nazarick created by both Yamaiko and Hiro. She takes after her creator Yamaiko's personality, but unlike Yuri and Increment, Decrement inherited Yamaiko's more energetic and eccentric side. This makes her the technical sister of Yuri and Increment, and it explains why Yuri's presence naturally puts her at ease. Hiro also played a part in her development, as he helps design the maids whose names are based on computer terms. In the Pleiades days, Decrement is described as a nosy but lively girl. It's said that her cheerful personality often brings a smile to Yuri's face. Fot. Fot is one of the 41 homunculus maids of Nazarick. She was created by Whitebrim, Hiro, and Coup de Grace. In one instance, Fot put on a ring of sustenance, an item that allows the wearer to go without sleep, so she could sit in a chair and watch over Ainz throughout the night. While Ainz appreciated her loyalty, he reminded her there was no need to go to such extremes. Once he awoke, Fot would leave and allow the next maid to take her place. Increment. Unlike most of the maids who were created by Whitebrim or Hiro, she was made by Yamaiko. Because of that, she can technically be considered Yuri and Decrement's younger sister. The thing is, Increment has her own little quirks. When she's reading, she has this habit of tensing up her back, which makes Yuri feel genuinely warm toward her. Outside of her duties, she enjoys eating quietly in the staff canteen while reading a book. Sixus. Sixus is one of the 41 homunculus maids of Nazarick. Most of the time, she carries herself as calm and collected, but when Ainz praises the Supreme Beings for creating NPCs like her, she can't help but get emotional and even tear up. She secretly has a talent for art. She tries to deny it and keep it hidden, but it's believed she inherited the artistic touch from her creator Whitebrim, who's actually an illustrator and mangaka in real life. Like the rest of the homunculus maids, Sixus is only around level 1 and comes with the racial penalty of increased food consumption. In other words, she has to eat far more than a normal person, steadily working her way through mountains of food just to function. As for where she fits in with the rest of the maids, the 41 maids are usually divided into groups based on their creators. Most were made by Whitebrim, Hiro, or Coup de Grace. But Sixus is part of the smaller group that's detached from those circles, choosing instead to eat quietly on her own, read while eating, or spend time with maids made by other supreme beings. Fua. Fua is one of the 41 homunculus maids of Nazarick. She's known for being terrible at lying, which makes her pretty easy to read compared to some of the others. She had short hair, and her maid skirt was similarly shortened to match her energetic appearance. Lumiere. Lumiere is one of the 41 homunculus maids of Nazarick. In the side story, she's described as looking very neat, with blonde hair that seems to sparkle mysteriously as if stars were woven into it. While her abilities and class are only around level 1 like all her sisters, she has the racial penalty of increased food consumption. Her maid uniform is actually equal to a high-class item which grants her defensive stats. As for her origins, Coup de Grace seems to be her main creator, since he was involved in designing many of the maids with French names. Étoile. Étoile is one of the 41 homunculus maids of Nazarick. Like the rest of her sisters, she prefers taking on even more jobs if it means serving Ainz. There are more homunculus maids aside from her, but their names have not yet been revealed. Since Whitebrim had a big obsession with maids and maid outfits, it's pretty clear that this otaku supreme being set up their character settings to match his personal taste. If you want to dive deeper into what Whitebrim was like and learn everything we know about Ainz's old friends, check out this video where we reveal what we found about every supreme being in Overlord. Shalltear Bloodfallen. Shalltear is a true vampire and the floor guardian of the 1st to 3rd floors of Nazarick. She was created by the supreme being Perononchino. Shalltear is considered the strongest of the floor guardians, second only to Gargantua. To defeat her, Albedo would have to carefully select a team, as even other guardians would struggle against her in a direct fight. As a true vampire, Shalltear's appearance changes dramatically. Her mouth turns into a gaping, circular maw, kind of like a lamprey's with a long tongue hanging out. In this state, she radiates a disturbing aura and wears only a ragged dress. Her build is optimized for both divine magic and melee combat. She holds levels in the Valkyrie class, a divine magic caster with strong physical ability. She wields the Spewit Lance, a divine class weapon gifted to her by Perononchino. Despite its name, it has a devastating ability. Thanks to its data crystals, it could absorb a portion of the damage dealt and instantly heal Shalltear. She also wears legendary class armor, and Ainz once entrusted her with a world item previously wielded by Aureole. On top of that, Shalltear's divine magic caster classes gave her access to many spells that worked especially well against the undead. Combine that with her melee skills and she became the perfect counter to Ainz himself. Basically, she really was the strongest guardian. Not even Albedo or any other level 100 guardian could take her on alone. That said, if the guardians attacked in waves, they could wear her down. The best way to use Shalltear is to drain the enemy's resources, so she needs to be sent out like an arrow. Once she's deployed, she's left to run wild through the enemy lines. One of her unique skills is Blood Frenzy. The more her body is covered in blood, the stronger her attacks become. However, she gradually loses control of her mind and falls into a murderous frenzy, indiscriminately attacking anything in sight, and even ending up ignoring her mission. To avoid this, she must prevent blood from touching her directly, often absorbing it through her weapon or gear. Her greatest trump card is Ainz Ooal. This ability summons a duplicate of herself that specializes only in melee combat. While the clone lacks Shalltear's spellcasting, skills, and magic items, its weapons, armor, and stats are identical to hers. The copy is not undead, but a construct, giving it resistance and immunities similar to Shalltear's own. In addition, Shalltear can summon minions such as wolves, bats, and rats. While not individually powerful, they can overwhelm opponents in large numbers when combined with her other abilities. Interestingly, Pereronchino programmed her to have a sibling-like conflict with Aura. Aura Bella Fiora. Aura is one of the twin floor guardians of Nazarick's 6th floor. As a dark elf, she's the older sister of Mare Bello Fiore, and both of them were created by the supreme being Baka Chigama. Aura is a beast tamer and ranger, which means she specializes in controlling magic beasts and fighting with guerrilla tactics. But if you only consider her solo ability, Aura's combat strength is pretty low. In fact, she ranks second from the bottom among Nazarick's guardians, and even some area guardians are stronger than her. Aura performs better when she fights with her beasts. She can command hundreds of monsters, with the strongest reaching level 80. When Aura supports them with her own skills, they can reach about level 90. With her army of creatures, her overall power far surpasses any other guardian. Of the hundreds of monsters which Aura could summon, 2 of her favorite beasts are the Divine Beast Fenrir, also known as Fen, and the equally powerful Itzamna Quadrasil. On top of that, she later added the Frost Dragon Hegemmal to her collection. Aura's got a collector's spirit, so whenever she finds a new or rare creature in the new world, she wants to add it to her roster. As a ranger, Aura has incredible detection and physical skills. Tracking people in the forest was child's play to her, and she could easily subdue any weaker beasts. Aura can also expand her vision up to 2 kilometers, run at high speed, and pull off insane maneuvers in almost any terrain. Her hearing is so sharp that she can pick out sounds based on exact distance. And her detection ability lets her spot enemies even if they're using invisibility. Aura also has passive beast tamer skills that act like buffs or debuffs. They work through her breath, covering a radius of several meters. With certain skills, she can expand that range even further. Ainz gave Aura the depiction of nature and society. This world item can turn the real world into a painted landscape and trap a target inside a closed-off space. Mare Bello Fiore. Mare is the other floor guardian of Nazarick's 6th floor, created by Baka Chigama and the twin of Mare. Basically, he's a trap. Unlike Aura, who loves taming beasts, Mare is more interested in plants. He often spends his days in the library at Shurbanipal or napping quietly. His shy and cowardly nature is very different to Aura's, which was intentional. This was done on purpose because Baka Chigama believes that the younger brother should obey the older sister. Mare wears 2 gauntlets, each one a world item. The right glows with silver light like an angel's hand, while the left looks like a demon's claw, radiating magma from its cracks. Together, these are known as avarice and generosity. As a druid, Mare is one of Nazarick's most powerful magic casters. He specializes in supporting allies, controlling nature, and unleashing devastating AoE spells. Unlike Shalltear, who is designed for close combat duels, Mare excels at wiping out armies with large-scale destruction magic. In fact, Shalltear herself considers his AoE spells the strongest in Nazarick. Mare's battle style perfectly complements Aura's. When the twins fought a primal fire elemental, Aura acted as the front line while Mare provided flawless support, casting layers of buffs and debuffs. He can manipulate the battlefield with spells like Earthquake and Earth Surge, summon streams of lava or restore the Earth's nutrients with his magic. He even wields 10th tier spells, including Nature's Shelter, a divine spell also known to Blue Planet, which creates a protective bunker beneath the Earth with the illusion of an endless sky inside. Mare can also unleash Petite Catastrophe, a spell said to surpass even super tier magic in destructive power. Additionally, Mare has resurrection capabilities. He's able to use Phoenix Flame, which once saved him from Antoline's instant death spell through Goal of All Life is Death. Victim. Victim is the floor guardian of Nazarick's 8th floor. He's an angel-type being who speaks in the angelic language of Enochian. While his words can't normally be understood, Nazarick's NPCs and even Ainz are able to comprehend him through a kind of built-in translation magic. Despite that, Ainz once thought that the language felt strange to hear. In the anime, this was dropped so the audience could understand him normally. Although Victim is technically genderless, he's usually referred to as a male. Among all the Guardians, Victim is seen as the weakest, especially in terms of level. Victim's personal combat strength is low, but his true value lies in his death. When slain, Victim can unleash an overwhelming ability that detains enemies, making him one of Nazarick's ultimate trump cards. In other words, he's designed to die. His sacrifice basically ensures the safety of Ainz and the Guardians. Because of this, Ainz once told him directly that under certain circumstances, Nazarick might have to kill him on purpose to keep an enemy from escaping. Ainz reassured Victim that this wouldn't come from malice, but rather necessity, and that he still loved him as one of his children. Victim was ordered into action after Shalltear's revival, which shows how cautiously Ainz treats his abilities. Only after confirming that NPCs could indeed be brought back did Ainz feel comfortable risking Victim's use in battle. Cocytus. Cocytus is the floor guardian of Nazarick's 5th floor, and was created by warrior Takumi Kazuki. He's known as the ruler of glaciers. Cocytus has the heart of a warrior. He respects anyone who shows fighting spirit, even enemies, and he sees himself as nothing more than a sword for his master to wield. His greatest fear is being deemed useless. Loyal to the core, Cocytus once followed Ainz's orders not to interfere in the fight against Shalltear, even though he feared losing his master. The cold air around Cocytus is so intense that people near him without strong resistance risk the effects of the lowered temperature, and they might even sustain frostbite. This cold was every bit as freezing as the primal fire elemental was hot. This comes from his skill, Frost Aura, which slows and damages enemies with extreme cold. It was a skill derived from the Knight of Niflheim class. This special ability damaged and slowed the foe through the use of extreme cold temperatures. At full power, it could even engulf all lizard men. He can also use spells like Ice Pillar, creating walls of ice to control the battlefield. From the perspective of a weapon user, Cocytus's attacks were the strongest in Nazarick. Among the melee fighters, he has the strongest weapon attacks. His exoskeleton acts as living armor, resistant to fire, and able to repair itself when his HP recovers. Unlike normal gear, his body cannot be dropped if he dies. His equipment also grants resistance to fear, mind-affecting abilities, and long-range attacks. As one from the insect race, Cocytus had compound eyes and a very broad field of vision. He has 4 arms and is a master of weapons, able to wield all 21 in his arsenal. His strongest blade is the Godslaying Emperor, an Odachi over 180 centimeters long. It cut through the strongest lizardman armor without a scratch. He also wields the Halberd Decapitation Fang, and Ainz entrusted him, like the other Floor Guardians, with an unnamed world item. Cocytus admires worthy warriors, which is why he grew to respect the lizardmen after fighting them. After their defeat, he even became a teacher-like figure to them. In his settings, he was programmed with knowledge of all the Supreme Being's divine weapons. You see, there were 4 NPCs who were the greatest in melee combat. Cocytus had the strongest attack power when using a weapon, Albedo had a high defense when in her heavy armor, while Sebastian in his true form was the strongest in melee combat. And then there was one more who was superior to all of them. Gargantua. Gargantua is the floor guardian of the 4th floor. Unlike the other guardians, Gargantua was not a custom-made NPC, but a part of the Yggdrasil game system. Basically, Gargantua was a golem created by one of Yggdrasil's rules. Although the NPCs in this video were exclusively created by the Supreme Beings, putting Gargantua here is just an exception. Gargantua is a giant stone golem standing over 30 meters tall. As a construct, Gargantua has no mind, personality, or will of its own. It cannot act freely and only moves when commanded by Ainz. Because of its massive size, it is normally stored at the bottom of the underground lake on the 4th floor. Because it was a system-created entity rather than one designed by the guild, the Supreme Being simply designated it as the guardian of the fourth floor. In practice, it is more of a siege weapon than a true defender of Nazarick, since its massive size and limitations make it unsuitable for base defense. In terms of raw power, Shalltear is described as the strongest floor guardian, except for Gargantua. This suggests that the Stone Titan is on an entirely different level of strength. Demiurgus. Demiurgus is the floor guardian of the 7th floor. As the creation of the world disaster, Albert Elaine Odell, Demiurgus is the commander of Nazarick's defenses and the second in command of all floor guardians. Demiurgus is considered one of the wisest beings in Nazarick. He excels in scheming, deception, and manipulation, and he is trusted with the execution of most of Nazarick's large-scale plans. Beyond his military leadership, he's also skilled in administration, managing foreign, domestic, and economic affairs of the Sorcerer Kingdom. In terms of combat, Demiurgus is a jack of all trades. While his raw physical abilities are average compared to warrior-type guardians like Cocytus or Albedo, they still far surpass most opponents in the New World. He relies less on physical strength and more on a wide range of special abilities, spells, and transformations. His fighting style is best described as a trickster, overwhelming enemies through strategy and deception. Known as the creator of Blazing Inferno, Demiurgus can cast 7th tier spells. He also has access to higher tier magic such as Meteor Fall, a 10th tier spell. One of his unique spells is Flames of Gehenna, which creates an illusion of crimson fire encircling an area. Demiurgus can also empower his words with a passive skill. This skill was called Command Mantra, and it could instantly turn the weak-minded into Demiurgus's puppets. If they ordered them to kneel, they would be forced to obey. Beyond his magic, he relies heavily on his signature skill set known as Aspect of the Devil. Through it, Demiurgus can transform his body in numerous ways. He can summon a mantle of fire that explodes with a shockwave, enlarge his wrist into a devastating weapon, extend his claws to over 80 centimeters, sharp enough to slice through nearly anything, or sprout wings that launch piercing arrows strong enough to punch through steel. He can even swell his arms into massive, muscled weapons or grow spider-like limbs to dramatically increase his speed. As Albert's creation, Demiurgus also inherited command of 7 custom-made demons called the Evil Lords, each one named after a deadly sin. Albert originally intended to make 12 of them, but only 7 were completed, including Wrath, Greed, Envy, Sloth, Pride, Gluttony, and Lust. Demiurgus also has possession of the Armageddon Evil and its prototype. These are items inspired by a world item and passed down from Albert to Ainz and finally to him, which allows him to summon demon armies. In the New World, Demiurgus became infamous under the disguise of Jaldabaoth. During Operation Gehenna, he used this identity to launch an attack on the Riestais Kingdom and turn Momen into a national hero. Later, he invaded the Robel Holy Kingdom and faced opponents like Remedios and Kellart Custodio. To maintain his disguise, he eventually summoned Evil Lord Wrath to carry on the role of Jaldabaoth. Albedo. Albedo is the overseer of the Floor Guardians. This means she ranks above the 7 Guardians and is responsible for managing and supervising all of them. She is the middle sister between Nigredo and Rubedo, and like them, was created by Tabulus Maragdina. Albedo belongs to the Demon and Succubus race. Originally, her settings made her a character who preferred frequent spicy activity, but moments before Yggdrasil shut down, Ainz altered her settings as a joke, making her deeply in love with him instead. The reason she did not gather Victim or Gargantua when ordered to assemble the Floor Guardians is that she does not have the authority to command them. Although Albedo despises humans, she makes exceptions in rare cases, such as with Princess Rana. As Overseer, Albedo's job is to know the whereabouts of every Floor Guardian at all times and maintain order in Nazarick. She holds the highest ranking position among the NPCs, and no one rivals her administrative skills. However, she is not supreme in every category. For example, Demiurgus surpasses her in wits and military strategy, and Shalltear surpasses her in combat ability. According to her character settings, Albedo has excellent feminine and housewife skills. In her free time, she's often seen sweeping, sewing, or doing other chores. For some reason, she loves cleanliness, and it often drives her to tidy things up. Whether it's cleaning, washing clothes, or sewing, she does it at a professional level. In fact, she's already done making baby socks and clothes in advance. preparing for her and Ainz's future baby up until the age of 5. Among all NPCs, Albedo boasts the highest defensive power. When fully equipped in her personal armor, Hermes Trismegistus, her defense becomes nearly impregnable. She possesses a special ability that transfers damage from herself into her armor, allowing her to withstand even super tier magic. However, this ability can only be used 3 times per day, and each use destroys part of her armor, lowering her overall protection until she fuses the remaining pieces into her own body in her true form. Her combat style focuses on defense and counterattacks. Albedo wields a halberd and is capable of reflecting attacks back at her opponents. It can damage even Yggdrasil-powered suits and weapons. Not only would this damage the opponent's weapon, but the damage of Albedo's halberd was also added to it. She is also naturally resistant to many diseases and immune to most fear or mind-based effects. As a level 100 NPC, Albedo can naturally cast powerful spells and skills, like Walls of Jericho. She possesses a weapon called 3F that can alter its size to a battle axe or halberd. Albedo has keen hearing skills, but not at the level of expert ranger and rogue type classes. On top of her divine class armor, she possesses a world item called Janunga Gap, which Tabula gave her without permission. This powerful item can erase vast areas and structures. She also owns other unnamed items that boost her speed to extraordinary levels, allowing her to catch opponents even while they're flying at full speed. Rubedo. Rubedo is the youngest sister of Albedo and Nigredo. Among the NPCs, she's considered the most powerful being in the entire Great Tomb of Nazarick. Her exact appearance has never been revealed, but it's implied that she's a mechanical being, possibly resembling a golem or automaton, while still sharing similarities with her sisters. In terms of personality, little is known. Nigredo has stated that Rubedo is not the kind of person others can open their hearts to, and openly admits to hating her. She refers to Rubedo as spinal, and claims that she was created in a completely different way from herself and Albedo. Nigredo also believes that Rubedo could one day bring disaster to Nazarick. On the other hand, Albedo finds Rubedo adorable and deeply loyal to Ainz, though even she admits Rubedo would refuse to take orders from anyone but him. Nigredo believes that Albedo thinks that because she was deceived by their youngest sister. After hearing Nigredo's thoughts, Albedo can't help but for a moment worry that Rubedo might betray Nazarick someday. Rubedo's strength surpasses every NPC. In pure melee combat, she's stronger than Cocytus, Sebas, and even Albedo. Compared to her, Shalltear is seen as weak. It's said that not even Ainz in full gear or even the supreme being Touch Me could beat her. The only ones who might overpower her are the mysterious denizens on the 8th floor, the 8th floor hierarchy, and even they would need world items to do it. Because of her overwhelming power, Rubedo can only be deployed with Ainz's direct permission, even in emergencies. Albedo once requested to include Rubedo in the special squad tasked with searching for other supreme beings. Though Ainz initially refused, he eventually granted approval after hearing Albedo describe her idea as the strongest dream team. Rubedo was created by Tabula Smaragdina through a unique process unlike the other NPCs he designed. According to Maruyama, she is a counter to Touch Me in the same way Shalltear was designed as a counter to Ainz. Interestingly, Maruyama has been asked many times to show Rubedo's character illustration, but his answer was that it's impossible and that she might not get any screen time at all. And that's every known NPC inside the Great Tomb of Nazarick. Which one's your favorite? Drop your pick in the comments, and if you want to see more Overlord explained, click the video on your screen now.